North America's first yearling sale for horses with turf appeal is coming to Fasig-Tipton. Selected yearlings by the nation's top turf sires. The Fasig-Tipton Turf Showcase presented by Woodbine Racetrack, September 10th in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. Race number 7 at Arlington Park on Arlington Million Saturday is the Grade 1 Secretariat Stakes for 3-year-olds on the turf. Let's take a look at this field. Our coverage is presented by the Fasig-Tipton Turf Showcase. Only a field of 6, but we've got some top 3-year-old turf horses, and we'll begin with the number 4, Oscar Performance. Last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf winner, and he has found his stride in his last 2 races. Basically, gate-to-wire wins in both the Pennine Ridge and the Belmont Derby. Now, we've been stunned at how easy they let him get the lead in his last 2 races. I think it's not going to be as easy this time around.
I would hope not. And I don't mean that in a negative light. I want to see this horse overcome something, because these past 2 races, they haven't really proved to me that he's back. It's one thing, you know, when you got to overcome a little bit. It's another thing when they just kind of gift wrap the race for you. Now, look, I didn't think he'd get 1.25 miles, and he got that very, very easily. So this 1.25 miles, not going to be a problem, or shouldn't be. You've got other speed in here, though. You've got the 2 Sonic Boom. You've got the 3 Permian, who I understand European speed may not translate. He's going to have to work a little bit harder if he's going to go to the top.
Now, with the 3 European entrants, half the field coming from overseas, we won't have a time-form U.S. pace projector. We'll have to handicap it the old-fashioned way. And the way Sonic Boom has responded in his last 2 races for trainer Ian Wilkes, being forward in both of those races, I think Julien Leparoux, who is one of the best front-end riders around, is sending this horse and making Oscar Performance make a decision. You either have to run to make the lead for me, or you're going to sit off and do something you haven't done before.
I hope they do that. I really do, because again, it's going to be twofold. It's going to be a matter of Jose's going to need to make a decision. Are we going to go and try to clear, or are we going to be content sitting? And if they are content sitting, he's going to need to prove that he can actually sit off of a horse and pass. Sonic Boom, I've always liked him as a 2-year-old. It took a little bit of time for him to kind of get back on track. I didn't love that he popped back to his left lead for the final 1/8 of a mile in that most recent start, so it makes me wonder about distance. Does he really want to go this far? I don't like him in here, but I think he could be sort of the key to the entire race.
The horse he beat in the American Derby, the 5 Gorgeous Kitten, goes out from Michael Maker, sensational rider, Florent Giroux. Gorgeous Kitten had the 2nd best trip at the American Derby. I think Sonic Boom had the best trip, controlling the pace up front, but Gorgeous Kitten was sitting behind. He took his shot, and like the winner, he hopped back to his left lead as well. I think he is a talented colt who found a pretty tough spot.
I think he's a notch or 2 below some of the better ones in here. I think a minor award at best.
Let's talk about these European invaders. The number 6 is Taj Mahal, Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore, getting Lasix for the first time. But boy, haven't we sort of seen this horse already? 14 times, he's only won once, and he's basically been kind of a pacemaker in higher quality races over there. I'm not going to hold the Coral Eclipse and the Irish Derby against him, but that race 3 starts back, I think, kind of exposed him a little bit.
When we have our big trainers over here, whether it's Todd or Baffert or Chad or anyone else, and you see them making equipment changes, you see them doing X, Y, and Z, and they're going off at giant prices, usually we look at it and say, all right, well, they don't really know what to do with the horse. And that's kind of an indictment. Aidan O'Brien is doing all of those things. He put blinkers on, he took them back off. This horse is 20-1 plus in each of his past 3 starts. To me, even for the great Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore, this one would be a stunner to me if he won.
And while he was a relatively close 4th in the French Derby back on June the 4th, it is interesting to note that he is a turf maiden, and his only win came on a synthetic surface. As we take a look at this 6-horse field, it's really an interesting international cast, the speed of Sonic Boom and Oscar Performance, and of course, the interesting European horses. We're going to take a look at our top selections for this year's Grade 1 Secretariat Stakes, and we're both going overseas. Let's talk about the number 3 Permian, because this horse has taken on top competition.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, he was probably a little bit unlucky to lose that Grand Prix Paris over there, because he just lost the head bob. And the interesting thing is, keep in mind, this is a Godolphin horse, but don't be fooled. He's gonna be in silver. He's not gonna be in blue, which is a little bit odd, because I had to go back and watch the replay again and go, who is this? This isn't the horse I was looking at. He's going to be forwardly placed. He has a little bit of speed. You've heard whispers that they may not be really dead set on trying to get to the front, that they may be okay sitting just off. You go to the run 2 back in the King Eddie. You know, the runner-up came back to run 2nd in a Group 3. The 3rd place runner came back to win a Group 3. The 4th place winner came back to win a Group 3. So he's been keeping good company. The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is that maybe 1.25 miles is a little sharp. Maybe he needs a mile and a half, mile and 3/8, even longer.
My selection's more about projection, because I think if you look at the European form, Permian's form is superior to that of the number 1 Affandum. But Affandum is so lightly raced. He's only started 4 times. He's really done nothing wrong in his career. Last time he had the lead in the stretch, and Finch came back and beat him over firm turf in a Group 2. I think a good trip is coming. We talked about the speed horses in this race. This horse has shown a little bit of tactical speed over there, but I think he can maybe secure a spot under Frank, either in the pocket or in mid-pack. I think it'll be a fair pace. I don't think they're going to allow Oscar Performance or Sonic Boom to walk up front, and we'll see if this horse is good enough. But for me, it's more of a projection play because he's so lightly raced. I don't think he's far behind the other Euros, but he does need a forward move.
I thought he ran really well in that group over there in France. You know, unfortunately, Finch just got the better of him, but Finch, you know, he's a Frankel baby, and it looks like he could be anything. Is there any concern about Jean-Claude Rouget's numbers where they're not spectacular here in the States?
He hasn't won in a long, long time here. I mean, he's an internationally renowned trainer, but I went back in our internal system, and it's something like 0 for 25, 0 for 26 now over several years. I think at some point you just have to trust the horse, especially when you look at the tote here. If this horse is maybe 2 to 1, I'd be a little bit nervous. I think 9 to 2 is fair, and I do think he might be the 3rd or 4th choice in this race, depending on how much Sonic Boom gets bet, the sharp local runner at Arlington Park. You're going to go 3-1-4. I'm going to go 1-4-3 in the Grade 1 Secretariat, race number 7 at beautiful Arlington Park on Saturday, and our coverage is presented by the Fasig-Tipton Turf Showcase.